that you guys can all unmute yourselves and yeah, you, nice speaker. Thank you, Young-Joo.
Yay. Thanks, Josh. I'm going to share my screen as well. Oh no, don't look at my notes. It's gonna spoil. Okay. Yay, welcome everybody. I'm so happy to see everyone, and it's been quite some time when I do Younng-Joo Scharf, and this is my second year at Chabot College, and I joined CARP Bay Area when I started at Chabot. I think what inspires me the most about CARP is just the community of like-minded, growth-minded individuals, of people who are learn, want to grow, and are open to learn from each other. So every time I come, I feel like yeah, I feel so moved in here, and I feel like it's every time you can learn something new in the different breakout room. And yeah, I wish we could meet in person. We used to meet on campus and have time to talk to each other face to face in like physical reality. But guess one that we have on Zoom. So anyways, our topic today is the search for happiness. And everything that I'm talking about is based on the principles of founders, Reverend and Mrs. Moon. So if anything like sparks your interest, definitely we do like in small group studies to go more in depth into these principles. It's just going to be a very broad overview, just to spark a conversation and bring out whatever you guys are thinking when it comes to this topic. So hope we just can have a listen and then have good discussions afterwards. So I want to start with this quote. What everyone wants in life, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but yes, what everyone wants in life is continuous and genuine happiness. And not just the kind of like feeling happy, because we go up and down. I definitely go up and down my happiness day to day, but he says continuous and genuine happiness. So we want to talk about is how do we find that like true fulfillment or true contentment, like no matter what environment we're put in or our circumstances, how can we be joyful in different situations? And usually when we're unhappy, there's our kind of the way that focus on our happiness when we look at society today is we focus a lot on our physical desires. I say this because this is me. Like if I'm upset, it's easy to chicken or get some delicious food and suddenly I feel much better. Or we focus a lot on our careers and becoming financially stable, which is it can become like the only source of joy for people. Or like this cute little kid naps. That's definitely my sleeping sometimes too much. But yes, what the topic that we're talking about is actually that happiness. There's different methods of finding. There's a balance that you have to find where you find happiness physical through fulfilling your physical desires, like the aforementioned food, shelter, comfort. These are ways we find fulfillment in order to survive as a physical being on this earth, and we find fulfillment that way. But the part that sometimes is easier, our internal self, this part of ourself that desires truth or beauty, that desires goodness in other people, and ultimately desires love. And when those things are fulfilled, then we find that inner satisfaction, happiness. It's the kind of it's the relationship, going out in nature and feeling joy and love through creation. For me, I believe in her. I feel so much of God's love when I like feel the sun shining on my face. Some people, it's like the love you feel in with connection with other people, that this is what that can't be filled with just chocolate and just ice cream, unfortunately. So these are important parts when we try to answer this question: how do we find actual genuine happiness? With realizing that there's two parts of ourselves that both are equally that are both important, are the physical self and spirit self, and both have desires that we can find a harmony in our happiness. And we tend to, when we try to focus on one or without the other, it's easy to lose happiness in what we're doing. Like even like if you say there's no point in appreciating beauty and truth and goodness and have enough to eat, or if you're not getting the sleep that you need. So not to say that one is better than the other, that you need both. And another point that I want to cover, life goals. And this is when we're talking about in the course of our, we're talking long term here. We're talking like broad scope, our whole life when it comes to happiness. 3 areas. If we can do these 3 things, guys, we can find happiness and fulfillment. The first one is the mature character. So this is number 1, is my personal growth and fulfillment of my potential. So taking the time to mature and for what is the best version of myself that I can be, and striving to be that each day and working little by little to reach that. So unless we feel we feel like we're not achieving our full potential, and when we start feeling like, wow, I this is what I'm meant to do, I'm meant to go, then you start to feel joy. And the second one is, when we talk about finding happiness in terms of our whole life, is we need to invest into deep relationships within our family. And finally, it's when through having a way to contribute to the society or to the world, to feel like there's something that only I can offer to other people, then you can find joy and fulfillment. And so I'm going to go a little bit into each of these and talk about what we when it comes to starting with myself and my growth. It's good to realize that everything goes through phases of growth. Even in nature, there are certain stages through. Even a tree starts from a seed and grows into an apple tree. It takes time. So therefore, can cut yourself and be like, it's okay if I'm not Mozart after day 2 of piano lessons, but you need a little time, some practice. And so just like the potential to become a full apple tree, if given the necessary sustenance, the same way we all have the potential of love, that with the capacity to love others, to receive love and give love at our fullest capacity. The fullest or growth of a human being internally as a spirit is when they're able to care for another human being and care for the world and everything around them, not just centered on themselves. That's when you can see someone's maturity, is when they can look beyond just what I need or I want, but they can look broader. The thing is, though, we're different from plants in that we have responsibility in our growth, because while you can give water and plant, you can, as a person, have everything you need physically to grow. But when it comes to your internal growth, that's on you. That's on me. That's my responsibility. It's why you can see sometimes we can meet some people who are like 30 or 40, but internally they're like a 3-year-old or 4-year-old in terms of maturity. The required effort that it took to grow that part of themselves wasn't there. And that's part of what we hope to do through this carb club is create this space where people can there's scholastic studies, which is important, but also at the same time work on what can we do to grow our character and our heart for others, and our ability to understand and listen and take responsibility. Those are also important at the same time. And those all things take our personal effort. And ultimately, this is when this whole diagram is trying to demonstrate that a mature character and that both the spirit and body, the mind and body, are working together. So like if I say I'm going to do something, I have an idea in my mind, then I'll do it. Like that's a mature person. And second, the path towards happiness or finding fulfillment in your life is relationships and within your family. Because ultimately, this family is this school where you learn all different types of there's different realms of love, the way a child receives love, the way you give love to your siblings, or the way you give love to your spouse, or even the way you give love to your parents. The way you give love to each of them is different, but at the same time you love them all the same. And it's within the family where you start to learn all these different ways. And so it's important that we take that into consideration when we're thinking about our life and how we want to find happiness. Is unless we learn the different ways to live in a way, we're kind of limiting ourselves, because when we relate with other people, if you never learned how to love, say, your siblings, or if you never learned how to resist, that's going to be with you for the rest of your life. So it's important, whether in your family or with your relationships with other people, that you find out how these different ways of loving and being loved. And this is a diagram represents this family where different kinds of loves. Finally, the last one, the third goal on the path of trying to find happiness, is finding a way to contribute to the society. You're building upon these different steps, and at first as you become a mature person, and then working on your relationships with others, and then finally try to think about, what can I do to contribute? What do I have to contribute to the world? And then you can find your place to offer something. Different goals, they work in harmony with each other. Ultimately, we want to do all these things centered on the desire to love. We mature our character, we work on our relationships with others, we try to make a contribution to society, all in the effort so we can create a culture where people feel comfortable and feel loved through our relationships with each person, practicing kindness and understanding in different areas. And the final point is making the point that there's a kind of there's an order when it comes to these different life goals. We see that society kind of, it's easy to feel pressure that the contribution to society, this top part of the triangle, like getting a job and preparing for our career, especially as college, feel a lot of pressure to do that and then figure out your major. Sometimes we kind of neglect the other two parts of which are very important. And that's how you get like doctors who may be incredible at their job, but maybe human being or aren't a great person. And that's when you get an issue, because you need this at the core of these things is, it starts with us developing ourselves as human beings, how we relate with other people, and the integrity that we have within ourselves and with people. And that's what ultimately we can build on that. Yeah, because you want to have, even before you think about having even a relationship with another person, if you love yourself yet, then how can you love another person? So it's a step process. And I just want to close with this quote from Maxwell. Success is knowing your purpose in life, growing to reach your maximum potential, and sowing seeds that benefit others. For thought right there, I'll just read it one more time. Success is knowing your purpose in life, growing to reach your maximum potential, and sowing seeds that benefit others. And so that's something to think about. We're going to go into some breakout rooms now just to share what our thoughts are, whatever came up during the topic. I think Josh has some of those discussion questions. And yeah, we'll have some good discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Younng-Joo.